So, I made some changes to my Taylor, and I think they are pretty good. I've been trying out the silk and seal strings on other guitars, and I finally put it onto my Taylor. And wow, does it make a difference. Now, the version I put onto my Taylor, these were by D'Addario, they are 1147s. They are just amazing to play on this guitar. I'm surprised, I guess, that more people don't talk about the silk and steel strings, or if they do, how I've been oblivious to it for so long. But they are really great to play. I was kind of worried that maybe they would take away from the tone qualities of the guitar or the volume I can get out of the guitar. And certainly if you're playing through electronics, it doesn't make as much difference. But even as an acoustic guitar playing without any electronics, it sounds great. That's what you were just listening to. I'm not running electronics right now on the guitar. This is just exactly how the sound comes out. So pretty nice in all sorts of considerations. And I made another change while I was changing the strings, and that is I changed the bridge pins. Now I've been doing this on a couple other guitars, just changing the bridge pins from the standard plastic ones you get when you buy the guitar to some nicer wooden ones. Previously I had put a set of ebony ones onto my I put a set of rosewood ones onto my Seagull Dreadnought, and on my Taylor here I've used a set of ebony ones. Now there's probably nothing that special about them, but they just seem to fit a little nicer. They look a little nicer. You can see that the pins are a little bit more interesting to look at. But I think they do fit a little better, and I think they hold a little better. So I'm kind of happy with that particular change. And on my silk and steel strings, they're not certainly causing me any grief whatsoever. So not really major changes to the guitar. In fact, other than the fact that silk and steel strings are about twice the price of regular guitar strings, and these different bridge pins, it's about 10 bucks for a set of 6. But really for maybe an extra 20 bucks in my change of equipment, I think I've really enhanced the playability of the guitar. Now, the silk and steel strings, I think the best way to sort of describe the impact that I see, I certainly on this guitar never had a problem doing a bar chord in A. That would never be a problem. But if I went to B, it felt a little bit like I was working pretty hard. So the D and the E bar chords, it felt hard. But when we are hitting the C's and the D's, now they feel perfectly good. And in fact, it's quite easy to get the E bar chord. That's the high E bar chord up on the 12th fret. And it's very comfortable. Now, if you have strong hands, good calluses, all that kind of stuff, good action set up on your guitar maybe, these aren't real issues for a lot of folks. But I do hear people, especially in guitar classes, talk about they just can't do bar chords. Bar chords cause them grief. And that can be as low as the F and the G bar chords. I think these silk and steel strings are going to be the magic elixir, if you like, for folks who are struggling with their bar chords. I'm totally pleased with what I can do with ease using the silk and steel guitar strings. Now I've used 2 types, I'm sure there's other ones. On my Ibanez Talman, I put a set of Ernie balls on, and they were just great. I totally in love with those. On this one I put the D'Addarios. I have to say, I kind of always lean towards the D'Addarios whenever I can get them for just general strings, but I think that's more because I like the fact that they color the little ball ends on them, and I find that a little bit more interesting when I'm putting the strings on. But I really do think in this case, the D'Addario strings are pretty nice, and I'm going to probably buy another set of D'Addarios and try them out on my Seagull when the string joys that I have on it wear down a bit, because these are getting expensive to try to keep changing strings all the time. But the ones I'd had on my Taylor, I probably had them, they were just sort of Ernie ball regular steel strings, phosphor bronze strings. They'd probably been on for 4 or 5 months, so it was time to change them. I was starting to see a little discoloration in the string, so it was time to change, so there was no real bad parts that way. But For anyone who's looking for a little something to give you an advantage playing your acoustic guitar, you might think about the steel and silk and steel strings. And I'm kind of on a kick for replacing the bridge pins. So if you haven't tried replacing bridge pins with the wooden type ones, whether it's rosewood or ebonies, give it a try. They're a little flashier. They've got a little bit of an inlay on the surface, so they've got a little prettier look. But I'm actually really liking these things, so no complaints from me.